great. So can you name any other speaker who would show up today with not one, but three black tuxedos? That is how passionate Bob Pakanowski is about creating a black tie experience. You may not remember his last name, but you will hopefully remember the guy with the black tie and tuxes. What do 25 National Pro Football Hall of Fame induction events and creating over 7,000 events and meetings have in common? All of them received the black tie experience courtesy of our speaker. Bob has achieved professional member status of the National Speakers Association and has spoken to companies and conferences on the national, state, and regional levels. He is a Delta Sig, initiated at Akron in Ohio. However, he is most proud of being married to his wife, Connie, for 30 years and of his son, Adam. So please welcome Bob Pakanowski.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us. And who knows, we might get a few more as well. So thank you. So this is, and I'm going to share my screen here because I have a PowerPoint that I just want to share with all of you. Hopefully you'll see this here. We're going to go back here. So I would like to get started tonight and just briefly explain to you what the black tie is all about. So this is my brand, but as you heard in my intro, I've been an entrepreneur for over 26 years now, most all of them in the hospitality business. And those tuxedos, that was the uniform that my staff wore. And so I bring them out whenever I speak because it's always a great reminder for me, because what the black tie experience is all about is it's a mindset. It's really trying to achieve the highest levels of customer service excellence and hospitality so that you can attract and retain more customers and employees. Because for me, our business was built on trying to create the most brand ambassadors that we could. And I'm going to talk about that here later in my webinar. But so these tuxedos travel with me because they're always a reminder that for me and my audience, I want everyone to think of everything we do. We should always strive for that highest level of excellence, even on days that we don't feel like. Today was one of those days for me. I had some challenges with one of my clients, wasn't able to get, they were just really slow at responding to answers that I desperately needed. But I just kept focused on, okay, I have to make sure that I deliver this excellence every single minute of the day. Now, yeah, there are days that are more challenging, but so these tuxes always give me a great reminder of that. So thank you again for joining. First, what I want to do is I have a question for you. And if you're able to, if you're not driving, I would like for you to open up your browser on your smartphone or on your computer, and you see there, go to menti.com, menti.com, and it'll and in the search it'll say something like Mentimeter interactive presentation. And and what you want to do is you want to click on that, and then you should see this area for a code, and type in the code 5833950, 5833950, and you should then be able to answer this question. What's something that all of us have, but due to our technology can start to fade in as little as 10 seconds? And you see your choices there. I'm going to do it too, just to make sure that it's working. Hopefully it is, because Murphy's Law is following me around sometimes. And so I'm going to see if that works. And for some reason, even though I did this in rehearsal for this, doesn't look like it's actually working like I hoped.
Yeah, it looks like it's stuck in some in-between land.
Yeah, I see that too. Not sure. Oh, there we go.
Aha.
Good. Well, who was the one that put the Twitter account? Oh, wait a minute. That was me. So so thank you. So this is working. So, and the first three answers can't always be good. But I think here is what is, to me, is the answer. And it's your reputation. Your reputation. And I love this quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. And he says, your reputation is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, today more than ever, we get such limited time to make a great first and possibly lasting impression. And everything you do is built on your character and your reputation. Your character is what's inside of you. Your reputation is what people see. And so my question is, what do people say about you when you're not in the room? And that's why I decided to come up with this seminar. And I titled Workplace Secrets to Tell My Younger Self, because I wish that I knew these secrets when I was just getting out of the University of Akron. I graduated in 1988 with a degree in finance, joined Delta Sig, I think in 86, 87, somewhere in there. Had a fantastic time, let me tell you. I learned so much about business, about networking, about relationships through our chapter, and really enjoyed that. But you know what? There were some things back in 1988, and I know things have changed, but there were some things that I really wish I knew heading out into the workplace. And even when I was in the workplace, my first couple careers, I didn't know these things. And I think it really hurt me as I tried to, as I tried to continue moving forward in my career. So what I've done is I have 8 workplace secrets, plus a bonus 9th one that I want to share with you today, or things to tell my younger self. Now, I also will tell you that if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll make sure to answer them. And so I want to hear from you if there's any challenges, questions you may have. I'm happy to answer them during this as well. So what are these secrets? Well, I will want to go back to your screen and go back to menti.com and type in that same code, or maybe you can just click for the next slide. And now you have an opportunity to answer this question. What's one thing that I wish someone would tell me if you're currently in college, or would have told me if you're out of college and in the and working in the business world? What's one of those things that you wish someone would have told you? Again, I have to refresh the screen here as well to see if take time for yourself. Absolutely. There is one of the things that I think has already been broken or busted as a myth is I don't think there's, I'll talk about this work-life balance. And thank you. That's one thing that some people are saying, that there is no such thing as work-life balance, but it's things that we have to choose for ourselves to really create that balance. And hopefully you can find those organizations that or they'll give you the opportunity to have that balance. So messy, what about the business world? So are you saying that the business world is messy, or that people in general are messy? And you might be able to put that in the chat, because messiness can be one of those things that can really have make a big impression. Don't be afraid of trying. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I am going to be delivering this keynote in Tampa, Florida on next Wednesday. And that's one of my messages, is that when I was in my mid-20s, I was afraid to try something. because of a fear that I had. And I realized that the fear was really not there. It was all in my mind. So the charts that you can see real quick. The office dynamics, are not as clean cut. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, it's, there are some things that some people don't really want you to know, and that's unfortunate. And again, I think goes to culture, which I'm going to talk about. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing this. So I'm going to give you my workplace secrets here. And the first one actually starts here. Okay, for this place. Up here. Here, real quick. Let's see if I can go back to that. I apologize. Close out that.
Bob, you're cutting out again. I don't know if others are having that issue, but let's see when you
That better?
are others able to hear Bob okay? Go ahead and start talking, Bob. Let's see what happens.
Well, he's going to be, yes, I have a thumbs up here from Molly, so thank you. So I'm going to put closer again, and so let me see if this will work.
4, 5, and 6. They're away.
This is not my day here. I'm going to just pause this here. Go here and to just share.
Terrific start by Daniel Bailey. Usain Bolt, though, getting into his running. Here he comes. Usain Bolt, challenged by Tyson Gay. Usain Bolt, 2 clear meters. Tyson Gay in second place. And in third place, the Supper Power.
9.58. What I want to share with you, that was a video of Usain Bolt breaking the world record in the 100-meter dash. I don't know if any of us can actually do that. But you see on the bottom of the screen, 9.58. And the last words out of the announcer's breath was 9.58 seconds. He broke the world record. Now, again, I don't know if any of us can beat Usain Bolt, but there is something that we can do which directly ties in to my very first question. See, ladies and gentlemen, you really have less than 10 seconds. Secret number one is you have less than 10 seconds to create potentially a first and maybe even lasting impression. Because every single day, our human mind makes about 3,000 choices. And there's 11 major factors that go through our brain when we meet someone. Do I like them or not? Do I trust them or not? Are they a friend or are they a foe? And all of you do it to everyone. You will make an impression of someone, right, wrong, or indifferent. Well, if you're coming out of the workforce or you're just starting the workforce, please be very mindful that when you meet people, they're going to start looking at you in less than 10 seconds to see. Their brain's going to say, is this someone that I really want to trust with my company? And if they can't figure it out in 10 seconds, it'll take another 30 to 45 seconds. After that, they've almost made up their mind on you. That's why it's so very important that I ask this question. How do you show up every single day at work, at school? Do you show up or you show up with confidence? You show up organized, detailed. You show up polished. And I love this quote from General George Patton. And it's so true, even more so today, because of this device. Ladies and gentlemen, we are always on parade. So I want you to keep that in mind. Secret number one that I wish I knew Back when I was getting out of school and interviewing and having my first couple jobs was that I was always on parade, and how I showed up, and no one would ever tell me if I wasn't making that great impression or not. And so I have an acronym, the word lasts, LASTS. It's my tagline, creating an impression that lasts. And I want to share that with you today because I think it's so very important for secret number one. It's how you look, act, speak, what your tact is, or how you behave, and finally, how you serve. So how do you look, not only in person, but how do you look online? Because people are looking at your social media profiles. You all know that, but yet we hear constantly stories of people getting reprimanded or fired or suspended because of what they put on their social media channels. How do you act? How do you act in the office? How do you act in meetings? How do you act in a dining situation? Because you're representing not only your brand, but the brand of your organization. How do you speak? What words are you using? And how's the tone and language? How do you behave in the office, at events? And finally, how do you serve? Not only customer service wise, but how do you serve your other employees? How do you serve others in the office? Those people that may be working for you or working with you. So keep this in mind. And always try to look to create that impression that lasts on how you look, act, speak, tact, and your service. And I love this quote from Warren Buffett. And he gave this quote a number of years ago. I think right now 5 minutes is actually probably even too long because of Twitter and all of our social media. But it takes a while for you to build your reputation, ladies and gentlemen. But due to everything we have today, it's probably less than 5 minutes. And if you think about that, every time you post something or share something or like something or send an email in anger, you might do things differently. Your secret, added on to that, I don't know if all of you know this, but each and every one of you is the CEO. You are a CEO right now, whether you're in college or whether you're working for a company. You are the CEO of your brand. Think of your brand as a mini company, okay? So you have to manage, as the CEO, you have to manage your brand. Your personal brand has to mesh with the brand of your organization because people want to know that your brand on your values mesh with theirs. So work really hard at being the CEO of your brand because all of us also have a part-time job. I don't know if you know this, but all of us work for this organization because of this device now, everyone is looking to be this amateur photojournalist out there. They want to capture the bad behavior that they see at meetings, at events. We created over 7,000 meetings, events, receptions. Ladies and gentlemen, I could spend hours with you sharing stories of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how people acted, how they behaved, all those things. So keep that in mind. You never know who's watching you as you're in an interview, as you're representing Delta Sigma Pi, as you're representing your company. So work really hard to become the best CEO that you can of your brand. Number two, and I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to put it in the chat box for me if you can. What business do you think you're in right now? So tell me, what do you do? What business are you in? What would you say? Pleasing authority figures. Okay, like that. Thank you. Alana? Anyone else? And by the way, there is no wrong answer to this whatsoever. And this is one question that I wish that I knew early on. Because see, when we start out, it's all about chasing after something. And, you know, and then I realized in ensuring quality industrial paint, currently, great, Jamie, thank you. Helping student athletes succeed. Okay, thank you, Molly Ray. I appreciate that. All of these are very good answers, and you're absolutely correct in all of them. But here's my answer. I believe first and foremost, you are in this business. I believe you're in the hospitality business first and foremost, but there's my definition of hospitality. It's that art. I truly believe it's that art of making a personal connection between you and someone else. So I believe you're in the people business, helping student athletes succeed, creating succession for athletes. I believe you're in the people business, ensuring quality paint coatings. Ladies and gentlemen, practice being in the hospitality business, trying to make those connections with people, because when you make that personal and emotional connection with someone, they can feel it. Or they can see and feel that you care about them, that you're showing empathy, that you respect them. It's about kindness. Folks, we have to do customer service, but it's those tasks that we perform. We should greet people with a smile. We should be friendly to them. We should make sure that their product is delivered right on time and the quality is there. Hospitality is how we make our customers feel when we perform these tasks. And keep this thought in mind. You have two types of customers. You have your external customers, but you have your internal customers, the people that you work with, the people that you go to school with, your board members in your Delta Sig chapter. These are those people that will always consider how you make them feel. So I want you to think about this, that wherever you go, that you're in the hospitality business first, doing whatever you're going to do. If you create that mindset, I promise you that people will see you differently, because they'll know that there's something about you that just exudes confidence, that you want to make others better and you want to connect with them all the time. Your companies are going to hire you and they're going to expect this, right? You all know what the return on investment is. And that's so very important. But I want you to also strive to really have this ROR, to create a strong return on relationships. You've heard the old adage, people buy from people they like, trust, and respect. That's creating a high return on relationships. You may not have the best product, and frankly, I didn't want to be the best. I want to be the favorite of everybody, because the favorite meant that they trusted you, that they respected you, that they liked you. And so I worked really hard. Yeah, I certainly worked really hard on making sure that every company got a great return on investment. But more importantly, I wanted to build long-standing brand ambassadors. So I focused on that return on relationships, because I believe service is given, but hospitality is felt. Number 3, and I can't stress this enough. Hopefully, as we move out of COVID, this is going to come back. I truly believe that this is important. Now, you may have attended a dining etiquette seminar at your college, and if you're like me, it was probably pretty boring. But I'm here to tell you that people are watching you. You're on parade, and that this truly does matter, because we've all seen this. Well, maybe we haven't seen that. I can share with you a lot of stories, as I mentioned, of how people's careers could just be temporarily put on hold because of how they acted and behaved in a dining situation. I tell all of the college students that I talk with, if you think the final interview, when they take you out to a restaurant, is about your qualifications and skills, I believe you're sorely mistaken. It is about what are you going to act and behave in a dining situation. It goes back to that brand thing, the CEO of your brand. Can I trust you to represent my brand in front of my customers? That's why this is so very important. And what I've done, and I'm going to send this to the Delta Sig office, is I've created this business card, which you see there on the screen. It has every place setting identified. You can put this in your wallet, you can put this in your purse. On the back of it is just some other ideas on how to remember the dining situation. Because I truly believe, ladies and gentlemen, that if you can master the dining and social skills, you will be so far ahead of your peers today. And because think about this, a lot of the people that you're going to be interviewing with are baby boomers. And to them, this really matters. They want to know that when you go out to represent their company, their department, that you are going to really deliver that excellence. And so you need to practice your dining skills so that you can become comfortable when you're dining. Because here's one little other secret that no one told me. This, when you go out to eat, it has really nothing to do about eating. It's everything to do about dining. And dining is an experience. And I want you to work hard at creating an experience when you go out and represent your company. Here's number 4. And boy, this was a big mistake that I made because no one ever told me this. My first 2 opportunities out of college, I looked for the paycheck first. Boy, did I get it. So my secret to you is look for culture first and then a paycheck. The paycheck will come. I believe culture is like a foundation of your building. Culture is what makes the entire operation go. And so I want you to pay really close attention to just see when you come in for those interviews, or maybe now as you're working, what's your culture like? Is it empowering? Is it engaging? Or is it chaotic and controlling and fear-mongering? Because this foundation, over time, this foundation could crack. But then if your culture's strong, it'll be able to repair itself. Part of why I say look for a culture first is because sometimes what you can't see are those internal cracks. What I call that is those toxic employees. So when you go in for an interview, tell me what's your culture like? If that or that you can give me a 1 or 2 sentence description of your culture, what would it be? And then look around the office. Ladies and gentlemen, I do a lot of training and coaching and consulting for organizations. Typically within the first 30 to 45 minutes that I come into an office, I have a really good idea of what the culture is like, just by how people are acting towards one another, how they speak to one another. So look for that. And then ask this question. I'm curious, what are some of the core values of your company? And be prepared to give them yours. Because if these values start meshing, I think you could be on the right track to work for a great organization. So think about it and then be prepared to answer this next question. So I ask this a lot is I ask people, what are 3 of your core values? And how have you used each one of those in the last 6 months? No one ever asked me that. No one ever told me that. That was so very important. And my first 2 jobs, I didn't realize that the culture was not great. And it was really difficult for me because my core values are about respect and honesty and integrity and trust. Fortunately, I didn't see that. And I love this quote. Your mission statement be, but the core values are displayed in the attitudes of your employees. Look around, ladies and gentlemen. Look and see what the attitudes are. And make sure that you practice and implement your core values. So I'm just curious. In the chat box, me one of your core values. Now, core values, let me just also say, your core values are what's inside of you. These are non-negotiable. This is what drives you every single day to do the very best job that you can do. So what's one of your core values that you feel you do really well with? And feel free to put that in the chat box. And you know, I mean, it's a tough question to answer because we don't get that asked quite a bit. But but I think it's so very important when you want to figure out if this organization is the right fit for honesty, dependability, thank you, people, honesty, transparency, thank you, integrity. Good. So now what I want you to do is then write out, and you don't have to do it here, but write out how you use integrity, how you believe transparency is so very important to you. Because I'm here to tell you that no one talks about this. And when I hired people, when I hired my management team, these were the questions that I was asking. So I was in the event catering world. There were some extremely talented executive chefs that I didn't hire. And their food was absolutely phenomenal. But I didn't hire them because their core values didn't line up with the core values that our company had. So important this is because without the core values, your culture and your foundation suffer. And here are just two examples of companies that practice core values. Or the one on the left was from a company that I had a friend of mine work for. And he loved this, but here were the core values that the company came up with. And they practice these every single day, every single week. And in fact, they talked about one of these at their staff meetings every single week. And the company on the right is just a family fun center in Boise, Idaho, that I had the opportunity to visit while I was speaking in Boise. And right there on the wall for everyone to see, including their customers, are their core values. And I went up and I talked to some of the employees, and you could tell that they were practicing and preaching the core values. So my challenge to you is you can talk on your core values, but will you walk the walk? And if your leadership isn't doing this, if your leadership isn't walking the walk with the values, maybe it's time to look for another company. Look for culture first. The paycheck, I promise, will come if you find the right company. And you can practice and preach your core values and implement them, the money will come. Here's number 5. I believe right now, August 25th, every single one of you is a leader. And I will tell that to my staff. I don't believe you need a business card or a title to be a leader. Because a leader to me is someone who influences others, who's a mentor, who's a coach. And I believe every one of you is a leader. What type of leader are you? So for me, this is the leader that I became. I'd be best at being number 1 and be number 2. I mean, I was number 1. I owned my companies. I was always number 2. Because for me, it was about practicing selfless leadership. Another term is servant leadership. I always wanted to make sure that I was that selfless, that put my staff first, that put others first, that put coworkers first, and made it all about them. Because I think there's a difference between a boss and a leader. And I love this infographic. I use this when I do leadership coaching. One of the first questions to ask is, tell me, real quick, circle the areas you believe you're more of a boss or more of a leader. You see that a boss, and you know what, frankly, the answer is you should be both, because there's at times that you need to be a boss. I believe you need to be a leader more often than you need to be a boss. Because sheep will follow, or that one sheep that if he walks off the cliff, guess what? The other sheep will walk off the cliff with him or her. They're going to follow him. But fish swim in a school and they move together. So what are you? So I challenge you, look at this, to practice being a coach, depending on goodwill, fixes the breakdown, shows how it's done, develops people, gives credit, says let's go versus commanding people. I have a meeting tomorrow with a CEO who's a command control leader. And we're going to work really hard to move him from being a boss to being a leader. So go into this. And it's not arrogance, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe it's confidence that you are a leader, because if you can show influence, if you can lead by influence, if you can help mentor and coach people in your organization, in your fraternity, you will be innovative. This is so huge. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, everything we do is or just in our economy is it's me first. It's all about me. I didn't know this coming out because I thought it was all about me. But you have to practice humility and preach trust. Let the ego go. And they know that when you start out, you might be at the bottom, but but still make sure that your ego is not there. And yes, it's good to have a healthy ego. Don't get me wrong. You need a healthy ego, but you can't let it dominate. And I know, one of the things that I should have mentioned early on is that all these that I talk about may be common sense to you. And I think they are, but I'm going to challenge you to make them common practice, because I think that's where we fall short as a business rule. We don't make these common practice. I was fortunate to have many good coaches and mentors for me all along my career, and I still have them. One of my favorites was a gentleman who was the CEO of the Fortune 1000 company. This was his mantra that he practiced every single day, and his employees knew it. Here's what he would tell them. Let's go well. It's all about you. Every once in a while, I like to share that credit. But look at this. But then he would say, when things go bad, it's all about me. Every once in a while, I'd like for you to share in that blame. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a humble, selfless leader. Knowing that when things go well, it's about his team. And when things go poorly, you know what? To me, that also meant that, I needed to then become a mentor or coach to really make sure that, hey, what happened here? And you know what? You need to share in that blame as well. And part of that is trust.
My name is Amy Wilkinson. I'm
and for some reason, my audio is not working.
Is how you would define
Colin
the key
Powell,
characteristics of effective leadership that
I
allow
share
you to
this
go and
with
be
you
an
too,
advocate for good.
Shonda.
Trust.
Someone asked him, what is the most
The
important
longer I
quality of
have
leadership?
been in public
And he
service
said
and the more
trust.
people have asked me about
It's
leadership
about a
over the
2-minute
years,
video, so I'll make sure that I can
leadership
share
ultimately
what's
comes
going
down.
but here's the power of trust in the workforce today. This is a slide. I was an attendee at a conference, and this was from an organization in Minnesota called the Trust Outlook. And all they do is research on trust. In fact, they say that the lack of trust is one of the largest single business expenses today. If you can preach and practice trust, ladies and gentlemen, even at an early age, look what happens. All these things go up. Productivity, retention, morale, loyalty. I know trust is a two-way street. You need to give trust and you need to get trust from others. But when trust increases for an organization, great things happen and things go down, meaning costs and problems. This is also what they shared. And I thought it was really interesting. And there's a lot of things going on about millennials and the Generation Z and all those. And they shared this. Guys, look at this. Over half of all millennials would do these things if they just trusted their senior leadership. And everybody's like, wow, yeah, of course. And then they dropped the bomb. They said, you know what? You can take out the word millennials and put in any other generation. And it's the same. over half of all baby boomers would work longer hours, be a better team player, and be more loyal. They just trusted their senior leadership. Generation X, whatever it is, that's how powerful trust is. Work hard. Trust. Work hard to develop that trust to others, because it can be washed away when you do something that you let people down. That trust that you work so hard can be washed away. So work hard. I made some mistakes early on where people trusted me and I let them down. And it took me a long time for them or for me to rebuild that trust with them. Here's number 7. As you continue on your road, always look for both appreciation and accountability in not only organizations, but as you as a leader. I believe you have to practice these, what I call the AA, because it's so very important. There was a study done by a organization, Glenn Tobe and Associates. They asked supervisors and employees, what are the 10 most important things? They asked supervisors, what are the 10 most important things that they believe employees want in a job? Here's what they said. They asked employees the very same thing. Guess what the number one thing that employees said? They want appreciation from their supervisors. They want an understanding attitude. Good wages was number 5. You all know the stories, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard them. People will leave companies not because of the pay, but because of the supervisors, of how they're not being treated and they're not feeling appreciated. So make it your goal to appreciate your coworkers, and when you get into that supervisory role, appreciate those people that are working with you and for you. And I want to share with you a little technique that I never knew. Nothing against art colleges. I had a great education in Akron, but they would teach us the 2-to-1 technique when it came to thanking and appreciating employees. And think of it as the plain hamburger. It's the old compliment, criticism, compliment. So I'll just pick out Molly, and I know Molly had your camera off, but what I would say to Molly, you know what, thank you, you're doing a great job for me. By the way, you have a personality of a wet noodle. Keep up the great work. The only thing Molly's going to remember is that I told her she has the personality of a wet noodle. That's not the way to appreciate people, because you also have to hold them accountable. So what I want you to do is think of the 5-to-1 technique. This is that beautiful hamburger with the lettuce and cheese and tomato and pickles. You give 5 positives to 1 accountability. So I've heard good compliments about you from so-and-so. Boy, that proposal that you put together, that looked great. Thanks for the creativity. It's helping everyone. I really like how you're starting to mentor so-and-so. Here's the accountability part. But I need to make sure that you work on the deadlines and you're on time all the time. Thanks for being part of the team. Now, what I've just done is I've given Molly or whomever things that she's really doing well. And here's the thing that I need you to work on. And I'm going to follow up with you, Molly, in about a week or 2 to make sure that you're doing this, because I'm holding you accountable. Even when I became an entrepreneur, I didn't practice this. It's only after my mentors and coaches said, Bob, you've got to learn how to better appreciate and hold your people accountable. It's changed my whole leadership. Before I close with number 8, I always want to do more value. So I have a couple things for you that I want to share with you. I have what's called my Black Tie Hospitality Toolkit on how to be the best brand for yourself. And I'd be happy to send that to you. No questions asked. There's my email address. And in the subject line, just put the code word Delta Sig. And I'd be happy to send it to you. I'm not going to spam you, nothing else. It's just yours. The thing that I do for all my seminars is that if you send me an email and write in the subject line or in the body of it, free 20, I will schedule a complimentary 20 to 30-minute phone call with you to answer any questions you may have if you're looking to get out into the business world, you're still in school, or maybe you're in the business world, your first or second job, and you want some, just advice or brainstorm with me or ideas, whatever it is, I'm yours for 30 minutes. It says 20, but trust me, it's a 30-minute call. And I'd be happy to do either one of those. My way of saying thank you for being on this call today. Here's number 8. The way I wish I knew this early on. Understand the importance of the 3 C's. And the 3 C's, the first C is change. Everything, business is about change, ladies and gentlemen. And that phrase is probably 6 of the most expensive words in business today. Run, don't walk, run from people who will always say we've always done it this way. That's not right. You have to be open to change every single day. Business is changing, technology, everything. So make sure that you are or that you're ready to accept change. Not change just because it's change, but change for the good. And with that, the other 2 C's are practice creativity and collaboration. One of the best things about the younger generation, what you're doing right now is you're all about collaboration. I absolutely love that. Keep doing it. You can see what happens when you practice collaboration. And if Bob, I'm not that creative. Yes, you are. You get dressed every single day. You pick out your clothes, and folks, that's creativity. And look what happens when you do more creativity. So really practice the 3 C's. Practice of being that innovative person that wants to help change your organization for the better, not just to change, but for the better. Involve yourself in creativity. Think outside the box and collaborate with others. And if you can find an organization that can do all these 3, you've hit the jackpot, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you one more bonus. Here's my 9th. And it goes back to what I first started here today. So you have to demand excellence in everything you do. First, you must look in the mirror every day and demand excellence from yourself. See, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe excellence is an act. I believe that it is something that it's not a skill, it's an attitude. You must have it inside of you. And you will accept nothing else but the best. First in yourself, and then in the organizations that you work with. Because when that happens, when you can demand excellence of yourself and you become passionate about your career, you now become what I call a brand ambassador. And a brand ambassador, someone who can't wait to tell the stories of how you make others feel. I love this quote from Coach K, Duke University, basketball coach. Play as they practice. I want you to create a consistency of excellence in everything you do. Because not only will you start sharing stories, but others will start sharing stories about you because of the excellence that you have every single day in your career. I want to challenge you right now before I close. I do this in all my seminars. Hopefully there's one thing you can do. And I hope there's more than one, but what's one idea that you can take out of my seminar here tonight and implement what I call the 21-day challenge, becoming a better you? See, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that if we work on something, we know that it takes 21 to 30 days to form a habit. That's why prior to COVID, all the health clubs were booked on January 2nd, but empty by January 17th. We couldn't form a habit. But if you can work on one idea for the next 21 days to become a habit for you, it will make it a part of your everyday life. It'll become a ritual. It will become excellence. Now, you may need an accountability partner, a personal trainer, and hopefully you have someone there. Maybe it's a friend, a mentor, whoever it is. If not, there's my email address. Email me, and I'll be your accountability partner for the next 21 days. It's my way, because I want to help you succeed. I want to help you become the very best that you can be. We live in a good enough society, ladies and gentlemen. I think to me, good enough never is. So what can you do that you can take this idea, turn it into a plan, and create an action because of it? Ladies and gentlemen, again, it goes back to practice hospitality. And here are three other words that begin with H that all tie into hospitality. And when you show hospitality, it's all about that high touch, showing that it's coming from your heart, that you're being helpful and that you're being. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish that I knew these 8 secrets 30 some odd years ago. I was fortunate that I learned them. I learned them the hard way. And I should also tell you that it took me about 4 or 5 years. And during that time, I actually not only lost a business, but my business went into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It wasn't only when I got with mentors and coaches. And I wasn't a bad person. I mean, I had some other factors, but I wasn't the person that I am today. And part of that was I just didn't know. I want you to know, and that's why I've been on this call here tonight with you. Before I close, I always close all my seminars with this quote from a very famous woman who's no longer with us. I don't think she realizes the power of the miracles. Ladies and gentlemen, people will probably forget over time what you've said to them. You'll probably also forget what you've done for them. You're never ever going to forget how you made them feel. Moving forward, take these 8 workplace secrets and practice the art of hospitality and make people feel something about you so that they can't wait to tell the story to others.
Bob, thank you very much. Some great information, and I know this will go a long way for many people. Questions? Does anyone have question? You are welcome to unmute yourself or put it in the chat if anyone does have questions. Morgan, oh, thank you. That was a great presentation. You have
words. Thank you very much.
I saw a couple of claps on the screen. Anyone else? That was packed full of information. My goodness. Much. Cody, are you clapping or raising your hand? I can't tell. All right. Excellent.
Well, again, and you know, and I'll mention it again too, that if you want to take advantage of that free 20 call, please feel free to do so. I'd be happy to talk to any one of you. And if I can, Chandra, what I would like to do is for right now is the people that are on this call right now is I'd like to give them first dibs at that free 20 call.
Okay.
And so that, you know, because I appreciate all of you taking time out of your evening or afternoon. So I want to give you first dibs if you want that. Great. And then from there, I can open it up to whoever else that would listen to this on the recording.
All right. That's great. And hopefully everybody captured his information that he provided earlier. And if you didn't and you need that again, let us know real quick and we'll get that put into the chat for you. But I suspect everybody did a quick screenshot.
Yeah, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and just mention, hey, I heard you on the Delta Sig webinar. I'd be happy to connect with you.
Perfect. Well, Bob, thank you so much. It does look like that there are no questions at this time, but I think it's because you included so much information in your presentation. So nice bow tie. Yes, he has many of those available behind him too. So great. Well, it's always good to have a Delta Sig join us and provide some super life skills and things like you say you wish you had known when you were younger. Now you're able to provide that to some younger folks that hopefully can put it to work for them and share with others. So thank you again for joining us. Thanks to everyone for joining us this evening, and we'll see you on another webinar very soon.
Thank you.